This is the main character of Jujutsu Kaisen, Megumi Fushiguro. I say this because his story touches on themes such as the unfairness of life and being a small piece of a much larger system, themes which relate to multiple major characters in the series. Megumi's motivation for being a Jujutsu sorcerer ties perfectly into not only the overarching story of Jujutsu Kaisen, but the stories of so many people around him. In this video I want to break down Megumi's purpose for being a Jujutsu sorcerer and exactly why it's so relevant to the story as a whole. On the surface, Jujutsu Kaisen is about sorcerers, or the good guys, fighting curses, or the bad guys. This battle has been going on for thousands of years, with the king of curses, Sukuna, said to be at least 1,000 years old.
Damn!
The main story of Jujutsu Kaisen takes place in the modern era of Jujutsu sorcery shortly after Sukuna's return. Megumi, who was actually sent on a very mission to prevent this from happening, is unable to stop Sukuna's resurrection. In the moments leading up to Sukuna's resurrection, Megumi has a major choice between killing Yuji before he fully turns into Sukuna or trying to save him somehow. He chooses the latter, and we learn later exactly why he does this. The first glimpse we get of Megumi's philosophy is during his first mission with Yuji and Nobara. When the crew are in the compound, they come across the dead body of one of the people they were sent to rescue. Yuji, whose philosophy is saving as many people as possible, is questioned by Megumi, who says, "Who's to say that someone you save now won't kill someone in the future?" Yuji responds by saying, "If that's the case, then why did you save me?" which leaves Megumi stuck. In the back of his mind, he's still struggling with that exact answer, but after Sukuna shows back up a little later, he states his reasoning. The beginning of chapter 9 starts with Megumi saying, "The only fair thing about life is how unfair it is to everyone." As we learn more about his background, it starts to make sense why he feels this way. Megumi has a flashback of his sister telling him if she has the time to curse somebody, she'd rather spend it thinking of the people she holds dear. She's one of, if not the only kind person Megumi knew from his childhood. He doesn't remember his mother, and the only thing he knows about his father is that he didn't care about him and even gave him a girl named Megumi. Megumi goes on to say that because his sister Sumiki was the kindest person he knew, she of all people deserved to live a happy life. However, this was not the case and she was cursed. His sister being kind yet getting cursed while his father, who abandoned him, still being alive, made Megumi realize that karma doesn't happen on its own. Criminals are disciplined under the law, and in the Jujutsu world, sorcerers, in his words, are a cog in the system of retribution. There's two major takeaways from Megumi's words here. One is that he believes life is inherently unfair and you have to create fairness yourself, and the second thing is the idea of being a cog in the system, which is a theme that's relevant to so many characters in JJK, but I'll get to that in a second. Megumi's entire reason for fighting as a Jujutsu sorcerer is to make sure that good people receive the fairness in life that they deserve. This can be considered a selfish motivation because it's based on his own moral compass and how he judges a person. Megumi even acknowledges this selfishness and says he's not a hero but a Jujutsu sorcerer. He says to Yuji that he saved him even though it was illogical because he didn't want to see a good person die regardless of how dangerous they are. It's because of this, however, that Megumi is ready to summon Mahoraga at the drop of a pen. He couldn't even make it past the first episode without almost giving up his life and summoning him. It's not until he trains with Gojo and gains some insight as to how to better implement his philosophy. While training with Megumi, Gojo tells him his problem is he doesn't know how to bring out his full potential. During the Kyoto Goodwill baseball game, Megumi chose to bunt when he was up to bat. He sacrificed himself so that Nobara could advance. Gojo tells him the difference between people like Megumi and people like Yuji is that Yuji will always swing for the fences. Gojo tells him being a Jujutsu sorcerer, unlike baseball, is an individual sport. No matter how many allies you have around you, when you die alone. Gojo tells him what's holding him back is his belief that if things go left and he just sacrifices himself, things will end well. Winning by dying and winning even if you die are two different things. Megumi's philosophy of wanting to provide a fair life for those he deemed good had him always ready to recklessly sacrifice himself. The problem isn't his philosophy itself, it's the fact that he didn't deem his own life as a valuable piece of the puzzle. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the other part of Megumi's philosophy on what a sorcerer is has to do with the idea of being a cog in a machine. This idea of being just one piece of a bigger system or being controlled is prevalent in the broader world of Jujutsu Kaisen. If you look at the relationship between characters like Yuji and Sukuna, for example, the two dance between the other being in control of the same body and being forced to sit back and watch. From the very first episode, Yuji is seen to be somewhat in control of Sukuna and able to switch at will, but as the story progresses, we realize Sukuna finds a way to still manipulate him and pull the string. Their entire relationship is a push and pull between who can keep the other in control and gain as much as possible from it. Another example is Gojo. The entire purpose of his birth was to bring balance to a world of increasingly stronger curses. His reason for existing was set from birth, which, as you can imagine, affected him mentally. Feeling like his path in life was predetermined made Gojo careless not only for himself but for others as well. This is why Gojo doesn't agree with the idea of sorcerers existing to protect the weak. He refuses to accept any meaning assigned assigned to strength. Assigning a meaning to strength in his eyes would trivialize and limit his already seemingly predetermined path in life as the strongest. Even Frankenstein here, or Freakenstein if you know you know.
Kenjaku took back shots from Yuji's dad and gasped when it slipped out and grabbed it and put it back in, all to create the perfect vessel for Sukuna.
This is a sick Negro.
Kenjaku's power is literally to transplant his brain into others and control them. He manipulated Yuji's father into having a child with him in order to be the vessel for Sukuna. In Jujutsu Kaisen, there's so many instances of manipulation that take place it can't be ignored. For Megumi, the idea of sorcerers being a cog in a system of retribution doesn't sit right with him because there's more to it than just that. He wants to make sure everyone, regardless of whether it's fair or not, is saved. Now, while this is a respectable ambition, the problem is the amount of responsibility it assumes. As we saw with Megumi, before learning from Gojo, he was ready to give up his life too early in an attempt to achieve this ambition. In the end, this is something that even us as the audience has to learn. In life, if you have a goal to help or save people from anything, you have to accept that you can't help or save everyone. Megumi's story shows the importance of not sacrificing yourself in an attempt to fix the unfairness of life. His story also touches on the importance of being aware of your place in a larger system and how you can find your own purpose instead of just being a cog in the system. If you made it this far in the video, I love you and I'm out. Peace.